Hey, what's up guys, it's Theo from Fino Concept. So now we are mostly tied to our phones and on social media all the time. So in this video we are trying to up our Instagram post by creating this simple photo manipulation in Adobe Photoshop. Let's just get started.
Welcome to Fino Concept. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Alright, so let's go ahead and open up application. For this tutorial I'm using Photoshop CC 2019 and I'll go ahead and create a new document. But before that, I already have my image in here. So this is the actual image. I'm just going to right click and go to open with Photoshop. You know what, let's just close up that image because we don't need it anymore. And before I do anything to it, I'm just going to duplicate this, so Ctrl J, and I'll go into filter, go into camera raw filter. You can also use Ctrl Shift and A. So the first thing is to increase the exposure, which I did. Increase the contrast by about 5. The highlights will go down. Shadows will come up a bit, whites will go down, and the blacks will also in this scenario I think the blacks will also go up. The texture, I like the texture over the hair, so I'll increase it by 10 and the clarity about 5. Now I also went ahead to go to the Hsl adjustment. Now I'm looking for the greens over here. The background is so terrible, you can see my clothes on the bed. So what I did is I went into saturation and I turned the greens down to -100. Then I also turned down the saturation for the blues here, so that will make it look like it's black and white. Then I just played around the other colors so that I can eliminate the skin tone and make it much darker than it already is. So I'll just fit this to screen. So for the orange, I just send them down slightly, and the red also go down like so. And you can also go into the luminance and increase the brightness of the reds, or probably let me just bring them down. I want the image to be very dark, this whole tutorial to around the dark image. So I think something like this is okay, and I'll just click on OK. Now, wow, that is a drastic change. So the next thing I did was I got a selection of my subject. So for this I'll be using the quick selection tool because it's going to be much faster for me at the moment instead of using the pen tool, which is mostly ideal for this situation, but I think the quick selection tool will do me a faster deal. So I'll just take this portion out whilst holding down the Alt key so that it turns to minus, and I'll take that selection out like so. So let's zoom out and see what we have. So I'll quickly grab the quick selection tool again, W on your keyboard, right click and go to layer via cut or layer via copy. So this is going to create a copy out of it like so. Then I think I searched for city. So I have a folder on my computer which says destroyed cities, so any form of destroyed cities. I got this off of Google, so if you search for it I'm sure you are going to get a bunch of them. So I just place it here like this, and I had it beneath my main image. I usually set this to a ratio of 7.5 by 9, and that is what I usually do for my Instagram post. So I think I'll copy it in about this big, and I think that is okay. Let me right click and go to rasterize layer. So I'm going to the adjustment panel and I'll click on curves. I want the background to look much darker, so I'll bring the dark portions down a little bit and increase the highlights just by so. I think this one should come a little bit up because it's too dark. And another thing is making sure that the foreground color is set to black. I'll go into the adjustment panel, I'll click on gradient, and this time around I have it angled this way about 45 or 30 degrees so that it's coming from this direction, and I'll place it somewhere around here. I do this because you can see that the light is over the subject like so, and this place is already dark, so I want the background to also have that form of effect, and I'll just click OK. Now I should have probably not made this a rasterized object, so let's go back and convert it to a smart object. I'm going to the filter and I'll click on Gaussian blur, and I'll blur it up about 15 or so, and just click on OK. Now what this allows me to do is at any point in time I can go in there and change the blur in case it is a smart object, so that is pretty cool. I also got this image from Google. Most images came in red, but for this it's looking like greenish blue. It looks like a turquoise color. So what I'll do is I'll go into the adjustment panel and I'll click on hue or saturation. I want it to match this red color I have here, so I'll just click and drag this to the extreme left or extreme right because they are reds on both sides, and I'll increase the saturation by a lot. So I think something like this should be okay. You can also make it lighter or darker, but I'm just going to, I think darker should, I'm just going to set it to about -15. Now once I'm done, I'm going to merge these two images together. Control E or just right click and go to merge down. Now once I've done that, I'll also grab the quick selection tool. You know what, let's use the magic wand instead. The reason being, this entire space is black, so I can just click and it will select all the black for me. So I'm going to invert this layer mask. Holding down Control, I'll press I. Now we have the selection of the image. Right click and go to apply layer mask. Now for the centers, I'll just clean them up like so. Pretty simple. Now we also have these edges over here. You can see the black edges. I don't want that, so I'll hold down the Control key and I'll click on the thumbnail itself. Go to select, go to modify, go to contract. So I want to contract this selection by about 2 pixels. So you can see that it crops in. Now once I have that, I'm going to invert this selection. So select. Now the reason why we invert is if I click on delete or I press the delete key, it deletes the image itself. We want to delete outside the image. So I'll go to select, inverse or Control Shift I. Then I'll just delete the outside or the outer portions. Control D to deselect, or just go back to select and click on deselect. Now once I have that, I can just use the move tool and just click and drop this over here like so. Now this is looking pretty nice. Here I'm also going to be creating duplicates of this. So with the move tool still active, let's close this up. I'll hold down the Alt key and I'll just click and drop, place this somewhere around here like so, making it much smaller. Now this is circular, so I don't think I should be deforming the image, so I'll just leave it like that. Hold down the Alt key and I'll click and drop this also somewhere around here. This time I'll make it much bigger. Alt key, I'll place this somewhere here, also slightly bigger. Hold down the Alt key and I'll place one here. This time I'll make it very big, about this huge, and I'll just make this one smaller and place the last one somewhere around here. So I think this is looking cool. Now for these viruses to glow, typically I'll just add in an outer glow by going to FX with the layer selected, go to outer glow, set it to a specific color, probably red, and just increase the opacity. But this is not looking quite ideal for me because it is on the outside, so I don't use this. I'll quickly cancel. What I'll do is I'll create a new layer on top of all of these layers and I'll call it anything I want, so probably light. I'll change the blend mode to screen and I'll select a specific color, so probably this red from here. Now I'll grab my brush tool about this big and I'll just paint in one time, so just to see how intense the brightness is too bright for me, so I'll make the color much darker and do it one more time. Still too bright, so I'll do it for the third time. I think this is okay. So what I'll do is I'll just be duplicating this. So first off, let's reduce this one size and place it somewhere here. Should be something like this. Again, I'll duplicate, Control J. I'll put the second one here also and make it bigger than the first one, so I can duplicate one more time. This time around it is going to be small because the image is small. Duplicate another time, make it much bigger. Duplicate for last but one time, make it bigger, and duplicate for the last time. This time is going to be much smaller, so something like this is okay. I can go ahead and merge all of these screen or blend mode effects together. It's supposed to be all of these because they all have the same name. I'll merge them up and I'll go to the blend mode and change it back to screen. And once I do that, I can create as many duplicates as I want and the image is going to brighten up as much. So you can see how this is looking like. If I do it one more time, you can see how it looks like again. But I think about 2 is just fine. and once I do that, I'm just going to be playing with the opacity because it looks too bright. I think about 50% opacity should be just okay. Now I have all of these, so time to add in a little bit of effect. So I'll make sure that my foreground color is set to black. I'll go to the adjustment panel, click on gradients. First one is going to be a linear, place it somewhere around here. The second one is going to be a radial gradient, so change the style to radial, reverse it and set it to 1000%. I'll also bring it somewhere around here. Then I'll create another gradient. This time around is going to be a different color, so I'll click on this box right here and I'm going to change these 2 points or these 2 colors. So for the first one, I'll click on it, click on color, and I'll pick the red color I used and I'll just click on OK. I don't want the second one to be dark, so I'll pick the exact same color again and click on OK. Now once I have that, I'm also going to change the direction, so I want it coming in from this side and up somewhere around here. Now I can also change the blend mode to screen and see how it is looking like. So this is before and this is after. If I go ahead and group all of these up, you can pretty much see the effects once we add them in. And basically this is how I created this.
Alright, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to watch more of my videos, hit that subscribe button, and as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is Theo from Fino Concept, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.